Hey guys, out here in the 2005 Excursion with the plug-and-play 2002 to 2007 cluster helper, getting ready to open pre-ordering. You can see here, running it through all the gears. Let me park. Everything's working great, so column helper customers, keep an eye on your email. You're going to be getting an email soon regarding the pre-ordering. Hey guys, Lewis here from swaphelper.com. That's right, it's pre-order time. 2002 to 2007 cluster helper. First, we're going to open pre-ordering for the 2002 to 2004 trucks, which is also going to include the 2005 Excursion. We'll explain that here in a moment, but before we do, let's jump to some footage of the cluster helper in a 2002 7.3 truck. The range sensor is not currently connected to the cluster helper, so that's not going to be functional in this video. And we don't have a boost sensor connected either, so you're not going to have that. But nonetheless, it's working great. This is a customer's truck, so I couldn't connect those two things, but get the door chime if it opens while the vehicle's moving. So I want to go over a few details of why we're going to open it up first for the 2002 to 2004 trucks. Those are going to be the Ford SCP trucks. They don't have CAN, except for the 6.0. It's got a limited CAN, but kind of irrelevant for this discussion. So a few things we're going to go over. One, why we're doing that. Well, some of it's to limit the number of orders that we get on the front end. The second reason is while I've done bench testing and development on the 2005 to 2007 trucks, I haven't done full testing in a truck yet, and so I've got a couple of trucks lined up here in Houston. Hopefully we'll get that done here in the next week or so, and then we can open it up for the later model guys as well. So that's what's going on that front. I also want to touch on how we're going to handle the connectors. As you can see here, this is a plug-and-play adapter board that basically plugs in. There's a jumper harness that goes between these two. This plugs into the truck. These connectors are from an original cluster, so we're going to need your cluster. So I'm going to go over real quickly here in a minute how to pop this apart and basically pull the portion that we need for the connectors. Now, we're going to have a certain amount in stock, so there won't be any lead time for customers. Basically, I don't know if we're going to handle it with a core charge or if you want to ship your stuff in before we ship. I haven't quite worked out all those details. Of course, we'll be updating you with information via email for pre-order customers as we get closer to the ship date. So before we jump into taking the cluster apart, I've had some guys send me emails requesting information like, hey, do the auto lights work, all that kind of stuff, which is actually controlled by the VSM. I had a clip I want to show real quickly of the auto lights working, so let's show that real quick. Might be a little bit difficult to see, but the headlight switch is on auto. So let's go ahead and turn the ignition on. You see the auto lights turned on. And fire it up. See, they're on. And then when we shut it off, then the auto lights will stay on for the predetermined amount of time as set by the VSM. All right, now we will wait for the timeout of the auto lights so that they will turn off after that predetermined time period. There you go. Okay, so you can see the auto lights work. Pretty much everything having to do with the VSM, including key fob programming, where you turn the ignition on and off 8 times. All that stuff is functional. And you know, with all our products, they're field upgradable, USB port. So in the field, if we add or change or let's say that we were to miss functionality, or maybe it worked in some trucks or we had an issue, we can later down the road issue field updates, which we've done in the past for our other products. So just to reiterate, I put a note on the screen earlier, but just to reiterate, the 05 to 07 trucks, we actually have all those connectors in stock. They're still in production. So those customers for the 05 to 07, when we open that pre-order and when we're shipping this in its entirety, they will not have to ship in any cluster related stuff for them. It'll have the newer connectors on it, so you won't have to worry about that if you have an 05 to 07 truck. For the 02 to 04 truck, like I said, we're going to go through, basically need a T15 Torx, pop these screws out, pull this board off, and that's really all there is to it. You may also know on the plug and play board, since the last update video, you'll notice there are 2 relays on here. So the _1 failure point in the original clusters are actually the 2 relays that are in the cluster. I don't know if, let's see if we can see them once we pop this open, but there's 2 relays under here, and that's the accessory delay and the battery saver relay. Long story short, for simplicity, we decided to also use relays and mimic the original design, but we decided to move them out on the plug and play board and actually make them socketed, so standard automotive relays will fit in here. So if you ever have a failure, all you have to do is swap the relays 15 years from now if you're still running your truck around. So that's one thing. The other thing on the plug and play board, you'll notice that we have these spade connectors. So while it is, for the most part, the majority of everything is plug and play, there are a few things that are not plug and play. So for instance, the transmission range wiring, if you have a 6.0, it's a single wire. If you have a 7.3, 6.8, or a 5.4, it's going to have, and this is for the 2002 to 2004 trucks, the 4 range sensor wires, just like the 99-01 cluster helper that we have out. The tow haul indicator. These are all things that were not communicated on the data bus in the earlier trucks, and so we're going to grab this stuff directly. Now, while we could do like an OBD2 query of the PCM, it's slow and laggy and looks like crap. So we decided to interface directly with them to get the best performance. And you can see in that first video when I'm going through the gears how fast it updates, and that's because we're connecting directly. We also have the cluster input, the info center buttons. So this will be like for the menu on the 11 to 16, or the 3 buttons if you have an 8 to 10 cluster that has those inputs. And then boost sensor. If you have a diesel, a 6.0 or a 7.3 for 2002 to 2004, and this also covers the 2005 Excursions because they didn't get the 05 internal update on the electronics like the 05 to 07 trucks, the Super Duties did. We are going to run an additional boost sensor, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, that data is not on the data bus natively in the 02 to 04 trucks and 05 Excursion. And so there's that. And then also the gauge is only good to about 3/4 of the way on the cluster. Basically, the sensor does not have enough range to do the full 40 PSI on the boost gauge on the cluster. So long story short, we will be selling an additional, the same sensor we run for the 99-01. You'll also be able to scale it in the software up to 100 PSI. So for instance, the black F350 has a compound turbo 12 valve, does about 70 PSI, which would obviously peg the gauge on a standard cluster if it was 0 to 40 PSI. So you'll be able to scale it from 40 to 100 PSI in the software. And we'll, like I said, we'll be issuing updates, and you'll be some YouTube videos and stuff showing incremental updates as we get closer to going to production. So this will have an enclosure on it. I haven't designed it yet, but it'll be just like just like we do with these. It'll be a nice, clean design, and of course you'll have instructions and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into the cluster. What's required in taking it apart? It's pretty straightforward. Basically, you have these Torx. Point them out. You got one here, 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 and here. So I'm going to fast forward this real quick and we'll pop these out, just me unscrewing them. So Okay, so there you go. We pop that off. And then this is pretty straightforward. So we're gonna disconnect this little guy right here. And then this board literally just pulls off. Boom, that's it. So this is all that we need. We don't need the whole cluster. I mean, if you want to ship the whole cluster in, you can. And if by some miracle TE, who makes these connectors, ends up getting back to us and says, hey, we've got a whole box of new old stock Ford connectors that we can buy, and it will negate this whole process, we'll be sure to let y'all know. But at this time, it's not looking like that's going to be a reality. So long story short, what we do is you'll ship this in. We have machinery to pop these connectors off in 10-15 seconds, and then we will end up attaching them to our plug and play board, and that's how that's going to work. So you can send in your original cluster, or maybe go to a local pick and pull. You know, pick up a cluster for 15-20 bucks or whatever at a local you know, parts yard, or see if you can find a good deal on eBay and pick one of the, you know, pick these up. Any 2002 to 2004 and 2005 Excursion, F250 to I believe F550 will have the same cluster with these connectors. I've looked around for other models as well that have these, like the Expedition, the F150, all that stuff from the year range. Some of them will have one of these connectors or the other one, but I haven't found any other models that have both of them. If you find one that has both these connectors on it, that's plentiful, please shoot us an email so we can let other customers know. But if you want to keep your original cluster with your truck, then maybe just go pick up a used cluster from a yard and send this in. So again, this is the only piece we need. We don't need that piece. We don't need this piece. We don't need any screws or anything like that. All we need is this board so that we can desolder these two connectors so that we can then install them here. And like I said, we're going to have a stock in our own inventory of these so that we can eliminate lead time, because we'll have these built in stock ready to go. So don't worry about that too much. So that's pretty much it. If you are a Column Helper customer, you're going to be getting an email with a special invitation and code to get in on the pre-order. And then we're probably going to give it 5 to 7 days or a certain amount of time. And then if the pre-order slots that we have allotted have not been filled, then we will open it up to the general public. So keep an eye on your email. If you guys have any questions, put it in the comments, or if you want to shoot us an email, contact@swaphelper.com. Thanks for your time, and we're really looking forward to getting this out to everybody.